Hi, my name's Joe Miller. I'm an award-winning professional tutor specialising in economics and other social sciences here at the Profs. Over the past 5 years, I've helped hundreds of students get into their top university choice, and I myself completed my bachelor's degree in economics at LSE, and so this is a topic I know all too well. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 quick application tips for the bachelor's in economics and politics at LSE. Before getting into the tips, it's important to note a few facts about this course. Firstly, it's exceptionally competitive, even by LSE's high standards. The acceptance rate over the past few years averages around 14%, and the enrolment rate is often less than 7%. The second thing to quickly note is this course is run by the Department of Government at LSE, which gives you an indication into which people at LSE are going to be reviewing your application, and therefore the type of content you need to include in your personal statement answers in order to really grab their attention. Let's get into the 5 application tips. Tip number 1, predicted grades. This is a question perhaps I'm getting more often than anything else at the moment, and that is, do I have the right predicted grades? You have to understand LSE's model on predicted grades. Just because a course has a relatively low typical offer or entry requirement does not mean that it's easier to get into. This course has a low requirement. For A-levels, it's 3 A's. For the IB, it's 38 points. But don't let that fool you. In order to be made an offer, you need higher predicted grades than this. The majority of students that I've worked with offers for this course have been predicted 2 or 3 or 4 A stars at A level and are certainly predicted 41, 42 or above points in the IB. It's therefore important that you don't think, okay, because this course has a lower entry requirement, it's easier to get into, or it's less prestigious than a course with a higher entry requirement. That's just simply not how it works. LSE always has lower entry requirements in order to attract the maximum number of students. On this point, it's really important that you negotiate your predicted grades with school. You work out from your teachers what it would take for you over the summer break or even over the autumn period before submitting the application to pump those grades up. To reiterate, the extra A star instead of A predicted grade in A level, the extra 7 instead of a 6 in your IB will absolutely go far in helping you secure an offer for this course. Application tip number 2, make sure you pair this course with the right course at your other universities. For those of you unaware, you submit 1 application in the UK, but 5 universities see that application. The application is all about your interest in a subject. Therefore, it's really important that you're applying to the same or similar subjects at each university. The big mistake I often see students make with this course is they'll pair it with the PPE course at Oxford. And that leads to lots of mistakes because in your personal statement answers, you end up dedicating a lot of time to philosophy, which the Department of Government at LSE simply don't care about for this course. And you're therefore not weighting enough of the application to economics and politics, which this course is all about. A lot of students will then say, well, Joe, how then do I pair this with a course at Oxford? The truth is, LSE have designed courses like this so that you put them first, so that you are not applying to Oxford or Cambridge instead of. My advice, therefore, is if you're applying to PPE at Oxford, look at the PPE at LSE course as your perhaps first or second choice. Before I get into application tip number 3, which is about your personal statement answers themselves, it's really important to note here, I'm recording this video in June 2025, just after UCAS have announced and launched their changes for the next 2026 cycle. This year, you will not write a personal statement as previous years have. You will instead write the same number of characters, 4,000, but answering 3 different questions. LSE have been one of the first universities to publish specific guidance on how they want you to allocate your characters between those questions and how they want you to answer each of them. I must stress, this is quite different to the guidance that I've seen different schools give. This is also slightly different to guidance that other universities have given. I therefore really stress that before you write your application answers, your 3 personal statement answers, you, number 1, check out LSE's website on this. We can put a link to that website below this video. And number 2, you check out our videos at the Profs on what we think you should be doing to master your application. With that in mind, application tip number 3 is make sure that you allocate equal weight to both economics and politics in this application. The mistakes that I see students make is they will either write the application entirely about economics and neglect politics. Perhaps this is because you've studied economics at school. That's not a good approach, especially when you consider that the department reviewing your application is the Department of Government at LSE. The other mistake I see students make is they weave in non-relevant subjects like philosophy. LSE do not care about philosophy for this course. Refer to application tip number 2. It's really important, therefore, that in question 1 and question 2 of your UCAS personal statement this year, you are equally weighting economics and politics, and you are trying to tie them together. So maybe you're talking about economic policy making. Maybe you're talking about readings that you've done in economics and politics that are connected in some kind of way. Perhaps you've been to an economics lecture and then you've thought in your own time about how what you've learnt in that lecture could be applied to a policy. These are the kinds of connections the admissions team at LSE are looking for in your answers for this course. Application tip number 4, and you'll know this if you've watched any of my other videos, that is, you need to create a unique identity that is substantiated by supercurricular activities. The biggest mistake that I see, especially in this day and age with ChatGPT, is students approach me and they say, give me a topic that I can write about in my personal statement. What's the best topic to write about in your personal statement? And the answer is, I can't give you that, ChatGPT can't give you that, only you can give yourself that by going out and creating a supercurricular portfolio. So what I do with all of my clients is, we start by building this portfolio early. So I get all of my students to do things like attend a public lecture, complete readings, enter essay competitions, even shadow a PhD student or an academic at the university. By doing these things first and dedicating time over the summer to doing these things, it then becomes so much easier to write your application about a specific interest and identity within economics and politics. A good recent example is I got one of my clients, a Year 12 student, to attend a public lecture at LSE hosted by the Financial Markets Group. The student asked the speaker a question at the end, and then when they went back to their home country over the Easter period, they completed some work experience in their local embassy with a politician. And I got them to use some of the principles that they had learnt from that public lecture and bring those up as policy issues in their internship. This kind of connection not only substantiates your interest in economics and politics, but it also shows how you understand the way in which these two social sciences interact. That is so important if you're to be made an offer for this course. My 5th and final application tip is know how you're using question 3 in the new UCAS personal statement answers. Question 3 can be misleading. It asks you for your extracurricular activities, but if you look at LSE's specific guidance, they do not care about extracurriculars. They don't care about musical instruments you play, and they really don't care about sports or positions of responsibility you've held at school. LSE want you to use this answer to discuss the subject in even more detail. This is where you can double down on internships. You can reinforce your interest in the subject by talking about perhaps an interaction you've had with a master's or a PhD student, or a museum you've attended, or maybe something that you've read about online about politics and economics. It really isn't a place for you to talk about those more generic extracurricular activities. Please also note, LSE does not want you to allocate any more than 20% of the 4,000 characters, so that's 800 characters, to this final question. Keep it short, keep it brief, and keep it subject specific. I hope you found these tips useful and enjoyed this video. There is of course a lot more that goes into an application than simply the content of this video. So if you need help with your applications, please do not hesitate to get in touch with the information on screen now. As always, if you've enjoyed the video, please do like and subscribe. If you leave a comment, we will do our very best to get back to you quickly. And as always, best of luck with your university applications.